Everyone, welcome back to Towards a Better Us. On this week's segment of Travel Couple Wisdom, we have Lindsay and Jim. Tell us about yourselves a little bit.
Yeah, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Lindsay. I'm originally from Wisconsin in the USA. However, I've been living overseas for 7 years or so. Been working for VIP Kid for 4 years. Yeah, I've been traveling remotely ever since I started my job at VIP Kid about 2015.
Yeah, my name is Jim. Originally from Alabama. I run a sourcing company, which is half the reason why we're here in Vietnam. So I help people find factories and suppliers, and focusing on Vietnam at the moment, which is good because the trade war is actually helping me for once.
Both self-employed.
Yeah.
Convenient. So how did you meet?
We actually met here in Vietnam. I was living in China for 2 years, got really burned out by China, decided to quit my job and start my own company. So I moved to Vietnam. Yep. And then Lindsay was here as a teacher. Yep. Kind of met each other at a beer garden in D1 about almost 5 years ago now.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I was teaching. I'd been living here for about a year, and Jim had just moved to town.
Literally like 2 weeks.
For 2 weeks ago, and we met in, at a place common in Vietnam, and Ho Chi Minh is these places where you go and you drink beer and you eat really good food that goes with the beer that's really cheap and delicious. And we met there, and we both kind of shared an interest in exploring more outside of the city. Getting on our motorbikes and kind of exploring along the coast, which I was having a hard time finding people to do that with me, believe it or not. And so that was kind of what we bonded over, like this idea that we were going to go on a little scooter trip or motorbike trip and explore some of the countryside and down to the Mekong Delta and things like that. And so that's what we did with our first date, I guess, after the beer garden was we actually drove to the coast and had it ended up being a pretty huge disaster, but it all worked out. Yeah, I got sick. I had like a horrible fever.
You got sick. We couldn't find a hotel because of a holiday, so we ended up literally sleeping in a guard shack at some hotel.
Yeah.
There was like Vietnamese family singing karaoke to like 4 a.m. full volume.
Yeah. Well, I was battling a fever.
Yeah.
So it was the whole thing was a disaster, but it didn't affect anything. We got closer, and he was really patient and good with me, and we had a lot of fun. It was kind of an adventure, and so that's the way it started, was this little trip we took. I guess very in the beginning. We might actually do the same trip now that we're back visiting it for the first time since we met. We might do the same trip. There's the story.
Yeah, reliving the first moments.
And
yes.
Married, right?
Yes, and now we are married. We got married on March 29th, so newlyweds, I guess.
Yeah, quite newlyweds.
Yeah.
Haven't had a honeymoon yet.
Yeah, we haven't had a honeymoon.
Proper honeymoon. Everybody says their life's a honeymoon.
Yeah, everyone's like, oh, well, your life is a honeymoon.
Yes.
Still have to do something special. Yeah.
I know, but just kind of want to go to resort time.
Yeah. Sorry?
So you met in Vietnam, and where did you go after? Did you stay there for a while, or?
Yeah, we're actually we were both living there, so it wasn't like we were traveling full time at that point. So we spent another year in Vietnam. Lindsay was living in Vietnam for 6 months before.
Oh, almost a year.
Almost a year before we actually met, and then we stayed another year together, dating.
Yeah.
Then you decided to quit your job, found VIP Kid. Most of my work is pretty online already because it's a lot of research and whatnot. So we decided to move to Bali. So we moved to Bali for 3 months.
Yeah, and that's where I started my VIP Kid experience, was living in Bali. So it was very stressful first 3 months, like becoming a teacher, because at that time, it was 2015. I couldn't find any information about traveling teachers. So I was kind of on my own,
teaching online even.
Or teaching online. It was very new. And so the whole thing, I kind of had to figure things out for myself. It was really stressful trying to get the technical situation to work. The internet was terrible everywhere. I was working from co-working spaces, like teaching in front of a camama in the
like
middle
programmers in the background.
with programmers in the
on.
background. And finally, like, so I don't even know how I didn't get fired, but it was early VIP kid before things.
Lindsay was one of the first 200 teachers.
Yeah, it was well within the first 200 teachers that they hired. And so I think I got lucky there and was able to
They were just like, oh,
establish
teachers don't work
myself.
for us.
Because that was really challenging. And now a lot of what I do now is based on, the things I learned in the early days.
And you're like, just call it less than what?
That's true. Now I help interview people or help do the mock classes. And I got pretty lucky that when I came in at that time. Although now new teachers have a lot more resources. So that's especially if you're going to travel.
But Bali has terrible internet, turns out. So not a good place to actually work. Yeah.
What are some words you would each use to describe like was it an adjective? I'm an English teacher, but I'm a grammar. I'm horrible at grammar. We're just like adventurous, thrilling, horrible, like traveling together, traveling with each other.
Traveling together?
It's been good.
Words to use to describe. Spontaneous. We're very spontaneous. We don't really do much planning. We kind of often will decide where to go based on airfare.
Although we've been better recently.
But even so, I don't think in our almost 5 years together, we haven't planned more than a couple months in advance at a time.
Because we're planned up till mid-August right now.
Yeah. So definitely spontaneous is one of them. What would be another word? Like constant? Like we don't really stop.
Yeah.
The last 4 years have been just on the go. Like with Jim especially, he loves to go to a place and see everything. So it's busy would be a good word.
No, but we've been better this year, I guess, about doing slow travel. Because this year we actually made a point to go to places we've already been. Yeah. Because just with my work, at least, it's really been picking up. So we really need to just settle down, focus, and work. Yeah.
And I think that's one of the really cool things. If you're a nomad, you don't have to keep going to new places. Yeah. Like it's pretty special actually to be able to return to somewhere that you went to that you loved the first time. And I almost better to do that than go somewhere new. And then you can sprinkle in little trips to new places. But we've been doing the last year. We've been trying to return to places that we have been and that we loved.
Because it's good because you actually know how to do it right this time.
Yeah, and you can't see everything. You can't possibly see everything the first time that you visit a place. So I think there's a lot of value in returning to places that you loved and trying again from a different perspective, I guess.
Yeah.
So where have you been together?
Vietnam, Bali, Portugal, Spain, Morocco, Colombia, Peru, Chile, Mexico multiple times, Nicaragua, Honduras. Although I guess not Honduras since we just passed.
Panama.
Spent a month and a half in Panama.
Costa Rica.
Austin, Texas.
Yeah, thrown in Texas.
I know,
Malaysia. You spent some time in Malaysia.
Oh, Malaysia, yeah. Thailand. And then counting just other like side trips. Myanmar. Our first big trip was Myanmar.
Yeah. Thailand. I don't know. Lots of places.
Cambodia.
We haven't done a lot of Europe yet. That might be something we're saving kind of. But pretty much all of Southeast Asia, most of Latin America, we haven't done Brazil and Argentina or Uruguay.
Everywhere except Laos in Southeast Asia, which we'll probably go to in August.
A trip to Laos in August. Yes. So we have quite a few places together, and we still have a few places we want to check off.
More Europe, really, is the big thing that we want to do now.
Yeah.
Because we keep wanting to do beyond it.
Have you had a favorite place so far?
Mexico and Vietnam, I would say.
Mexico and Vietnam. That's where we keep wanting to return to.
Yeah.
That's kind of our home, away from home. When we're in Mexico and when we're in Vietnam, we feel really relaxed and at ease and comfortable. And like when we go there, we immediately kind of feel like we've returned somewhere very familiar and very, it's our places that we love. We also loved, what else did we love? We loved Portugal.
Yeah, Portugal is somewhere I'm definitely go back to.
Portugal.
Yeah, we loved it too.
It's just so nice. Like, it's just nice, friendly people, amazing food, surprisingly cheap.
Yeah.
Nice subtropical weather. Yeah, there's nothing really. I love Portugal.
Yeah.
And so you got married in Mexico, right?
Yep.
Correct.
In Puerto Vallarta.
Yeah.
And we had been there previously before.
Yeah.
which is.
So there's a way.
That would be easy for our families to come visit us in Mexico. If we were going to do a destination wedding, that would be the easiest place that everyone could
Yeah.
come.
And the thing is, like, our family's from opposite sides of the United States, so most of our friends and family would have had to travel anyway. So
yeah,
better make them travel to Alabama or Mexico than Alabama or Wisconsin.
Yeah.
So you just got married there and then registered and did with the U.S.
Yeah, we're registered and legally we got married in Wisconsin. Yeah.
Good one.
Yeah. A little bit. Yeah. It turns out that getting married in Mexico is actually really complicated and expensive. So we decided not to go that route. So, yeah.
So all legalities were in Wisconsin. Real marriage. I mean, our real marriage was Mexico. That's what we consider a real marriage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just in Wisconsin.
Yes.
Okay, so I guess now we can kind of jump into the whole mostly traveling and working and living together and just being stuck to each other all the time. What are some common arguments you tend to have that you argue over?
Well, that's every couple, specifically male and female couple, have arguments about where you put things. Like, where'd you put my, or where is this? But that's not a real argument.
Yeah, that's true.
We don't argue a lot. Honestly, we aren't like big fighters or arguers. We're both pretty like laid back, luckily, and go with the flow. And but I would say that certain things happen when you're traveling. For example, low blood sugar. Like if Jim doesn't get food or coffee in the morning, and the same thing, I'm more with my blood sugar. Jim's with his caffeine. If that starts to get off of balance, we can get a little bit agitated, which I think probably is pretty common amongst most people when they're traveling anyway. So that's a big one that will just get kind of nitpicky or kind of get in these little. Yeah. But nothing ever really escalates. We're pretty laid back, and Jim never is actually amazing. I've talked about this before with my family that he doesn't let me. If I'm in a really bad mood and I want to like pick a fight with him, he won't take it anywhere. It will never get off the ground because he won't let it. He's like impossible to fight with. I'll be like trying to fight with him and he'll be like, yeah, okay.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah, he just doesn't like, I could be like saying stuff at him and he won't let it go anywhere, which I think is, for me, it's crucial because that keeps the peace. And so, yeah. It's been pretty good overall. He's usually pretty good about it. Or if he'll be like, "What's wrong, Lindsay? Like, why are you acting like this? Do you need something? Are you feeling okay?" Like he'll take that approach, which is really like concerned and sweet. And then I can't really fight with that. So, you did my best. Other fights?
Yeah,
maybe
we don't fight that much.
We don't fight that much. And
you
sometimes
fight when I squirm in bed at night.
Yeah, at nighttime, if we don't sleep well, that is one thing because you're staying in Airbnbs, you're staying in hotels. And sometimes they're not comfortable. And then sometimes I get grumpy if he tosses and turns too much or snores or, little things like that. I'll be like, you cut me up all night. And then I'll be grumpy. But again, it doesn't really turn into a fight. We really try to keep the peace, I guess, a little bit. And so far, maybe we're newlywed enough that it's all good.
A 7-year itch. So see what happens with that.
Yeah, ask us again in a few years.
Deal.
Well, this is all we've ever known. Like ever since we started dating 5 years ago, we've been constantly traveling. So our relationship has formed during moments of travel. And so I think that's kind of our normal.
Yeah, it's kind of odd relationship in that because we keep talking about settling down and getting a house, and I don't know if we know how to do that.
We don't. It's really hard for us.
Well, you were talking about maybe this fall, and then you kind of push that back, and we're like, oh, you don't want to get a house in Wisconsin in the winter, so we're not pushing back to the spring now.
Yeah.
So spring at the earliest 2020 is when we'll get a house.
Yes. And it's really hard because a lot of people talk about, when they're back home, they're like, how could you go and travel and live this lifestyle? And how did you give everything up? And I say, how did you decide to buy a house and a car and all these huge things? It's the opposite for us, I think. It's even more terrifying. The thought of doing those normal everyday things that people do, that's challenging.
Yeah, what's crazy is like our budget's not that high too. Because when people ask how do you afford it or whatnot, I'm like, dude, just not buy your second car and you can travel for a year if you want.
Yeah. So that's going to be a big challenge for us, I think, in the next year is figuring out how to kind of do our version of settling down.
it'll probably be just get a house and then travel 3 months a year.
Yeah.
3 to 6 months.
Just slow down a little bit.
Do you know where you're gonna settle down, or?
Probably back in her hometown, actually.
Yeah.
But we keep saying, oh, we got all these options because we can pretty much settle anywhere.
We're having a really hard time with it. And so right now we're talking about picking one of our like hometowns so that we don't have to add another trip when we want to visit family. Because we've been away for so long now, it becomes we want to spend more time with our family.
Yeah, and plus we'll probably settle down because we want to have kids. And you got to be near family.
Yeah, and if kids happen, then we want to be near family. So, and that doesn't mean the end of travel. It just means we feel like that might be the easiest option because then we have someone to take care of our things and house when we do want to travel. And because travel will always be a part of our life, probably, especially with Jim's job.
Because I got everything set up. So I do sourcing in China and Vietnam. So I got to travel pretty regularly to China and Vietnam anyways to visit factories and suppliers. And so we just kind of make a big 3 months out of it. And so I'll probably keep doing that and probably come to Vietnam for a few months a year. And Mexico too, just because we love Mexico.
How convenient. I mean, sorry, how horrible it is for you.
I know. Well, it's Wisconsin winters if you do Wisconsin. So
yes.
We don't want to be in Wisconsin in the middle of February or March.
Yeah. You don't really want to be anywhere in the States at those
When
months.
it's cold,
I guess, yeah.
Except maybe Miami, Florida. That's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. But then that's too far away from both our families. So.
Florida's not too bad for my family. I'm from just north of Florida.
Excuse me.
So.
All right. So what's the travel strength you would say the other one brings to the table while you're traveling?
Travel strength.
There's like they're a great planner or they're a great something cook or.
I don't think either of us are great at planning. I'll just say that.
Like half the reason why I do slow down is we just don't have the energy anymore to plan. So it's like let's just pick somewhere 3 months, not think about anything.
And back to the question. Strengths.
Oh, yeah.
I think your strength usually is just your stable mood. Like how easy he is to be around and how he I think you're also quite good at like navigating and figuring out how to go places and be places, and also really good at figuring out like transportation, like especially things like public transportation, buses, how to get from one place to another. Yeah,
because you have the
We're
ideas.
both pretty good at that in general.
Mess up times and distances, and like, you can't just do these 3 things because that's like an hour travel between them.
Sure. But I mean, I think so I think that you're pretty good at figuring that stuff out, like logistics. And then making sure that, like I said before, we don't fight or things are pretty, he's very laid back. So that kind of makes the travel, everything within the travel feeling more relaxed. Yeah.
Jim, what would you say Lindsay brings to the table?
Probably health. She's really good about making sure we eat healthy too and have a stable diet.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
Yeah, we always get a place with a kitchen just so like we can cook breakfast and meals as need be, because I mean when you travel, like some places are heavy in carbs, some places are just not that nutritious or whatever, so you gotta kind of supplement.
I try to keep it balanced, like
balanced,
for sleep, nutrition, making sure that we don't burn ourselves out, or that's something I'm always really concerned about, making sure, like Jim will pick a flight but it'll be like a terrible time with like 4 layovers, and I'm like, and then
do 4 layovers.
No, but meaning like you'll pick a flight, you won't think anything about the times, and I'll think, well, we're gonna do this flight, and then we'll have to miss all this sleep because we're leaving really early in the morning, and then it throw everything off, and then it'll take a week to recover. And so I'm usually the one that immediately will think, oh, well, we can do this instead, and come up with another solution to make sure that we don't burn ourselves out.
This time we flew nonstop, but last time, Lindsay was like, we got to pick this flight because it has a layover in Seoul that just happens to coincide with our sleep, and it's like
we can take a nap there, and then I'm always all about the circadian rhythms and making sure we take melatonin to help with the jet lag, or making sure that we get 3 good meals a day and things like that. Or you also would burn us out really fast, because once we're out, he wants to go hard. And I'll be like, listen, I know you're feeling good now, but later, this is going to wear us out. And because we don't have, endless energy. And especially when you travel to this capacity, this amount, you need to have boundaries and otherwise problems will happen and you'll have more fights and you will feel crappy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess that would be a pretty big strength. I think I used to, before I met, I was a solo traveler for 2 years. So I was at that time used to making arrangements and logistics and figuring out, but I was very laid back about it. And that's where Jim is better. I would be like, oh, if I'll just go, I'll arrive. I won't buy tickets in advance. I won't book apartment or book hotels in advance. And one thing that Jim has helped with that is just to you are better at planning than I am.
Well, yeah,
that helps with balance.
Don't like uncertainty more than anything. Because when you did first travel, we would just go somewhere and just we'll just pick a hotel on the ground. But then 50% of the time you just get a crap hole.
Yeah.
And I was like thinking of all the bad hotels we stayed at. But I just like to know there's a nice place to go to.
Yeah.
And so we got better about booking Airbnbs months in advance sometimes. Because this one, which is actually one of our favorite Airbnbs we ever stayed at, we booked months ago, February.
Yeah, but it took us 5 years to get to the point where we're booking things.
Yeah.
A little bit in advance.
Because we would book a week in advance for Airbnbs or even day of sometimes.
So.
But yeah, this one we know we're going to Vietnam, so let's just get everything booked.
But that's the only thing we plan then, because everything else then we think once we're there, we make our plans and we figure out what we like. But I'm saying our hotels.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the only thing we've been booking because then we can figure out what we want to do
or
what side trips we want to take once we're at our home base. Home base. Yeah.
So how was the transition for you from being a solo traveler to
a couple travel?
A little challenging, I think. I loved traveling solo. I really did. And I think that everybody should, have that experience of traveling by themselves, because I think you learn a lot more about yourself in that way. And you still learn things when you're with a couple, but you learn different things as a couple. And so I think you need both of them. And the transition was, it took some getting used to because I traveled a little differently by myself, of course. It's different travel when you're with a couple. And I tended to stay in hostels so I could meet people. And then when we first started dating, we started staying in hostels and we're like, this is awful. As a couple staying in a hostel, we're not going to do this anymore. So that was a transition to figure out how we could be social as a couple instead of being social as a solo traveler. And that's still something we work on all the time, because I think when you're a couple, it's easy to kind of be antisocial because you have each other. But when you're solo, you have to force yourself to go out and do things. And that opens you up to different experiences, I think, than it does when you're a couple. You really have to push yourself as a couple to, I think you can get in your comfort zone too easily when you're a couple. And that takes away one of the best parts about traveling is being out of your comfort zone. Not that you're not when you're a couple. Sometimes that happens. It's just different. You have someone who's there to support you. And when you don't have someone there to support you, that's when you really grow and really learn, I think.
Yeah.
So I'm really thankful for those years I had on my own, but I am also really happy to be trying a new type of traveling. And my mom is really happy about this because she hated when I traveled by myself.
Same with my mom too.
That's true.
You know, just sometimes when you're with somebody all the time, 24/7, it maybe can, how would you say, extinguish the flame? Would you say it's helped your intimacy since you're working in the same space and everything?
Yeah, that is challenging. I mean, right now, for example, we do try to have some boundaries. Lately, we've been trying to kind of do that. And Jim right now is going to a co-working space during the day. Yeah. And I've been staying and working at home. So because it's easier to teach from home than to teach from a co-working space. But I think that helps too, that periodically we'll do things like that where we might work in different places, and then it will be almost like a real work day. Yeah. We'll be apart for 7 or 8 hours and then we come back. So I think that helps a lot. We could be better at that. One thing I would like to start doing.
We don't do that much on our own at all, though.
No, we're we do a lot together. We spend every second together. I think we've spent more time together.
Like we coordinate our exercises, so I go running, you go.
Yeah, we do. We do. We're kind of freakishly together all the time. Yeah. But I think that's something we're going to have to, as we grow as a couple, we're going to have to figure out how to do that, because I think it's healthy to have activities that you do apart. And that's something I think we'll be working on in the next
We've
year
talked about
or
that
so.
for a
We've
year.
talked
and
about that.
It's never happened, so I don't
Yeah.
think it's going to happen.
It did a little bit in Mexico. Like we had some friends in Mexico, or
Yeah, but we're
sometimes
still
I would
doing
go
things
do.
Oh yeah, that's
I would
true.
go
You
do
did the
things.
yoga and a few
I
other
would go
things.
do things, or I'll take a yoga class without him, or do something, or take, like a language course or something. We might do something separately like that. And I think we need to, that's something we'll have to start to do so that we don't.
Yeah.
I know he loves it, and I do too, but I like to have my time alone as well. So I think that's something we'll have to work on.
Yeah.
That's interesting. We've been talking about that a lot too lately, so it's really interesting to hear it from.
Yeah, because we're very 24 all the time. I mean, we don't have the core team, so we're just really in each other's space all the time. And I'm more like Jim. I'm go with the flow, I don't care. I can zone out doing my stuff, so it's like I'm in another area. But for her, she really needs to be in her own space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think the first year we were together, I struggled with that the most. Because of that like you said, that transition between I was by myself for like 3 years I wasn't even in a relationship. I was just doing a lot of things on my own, including solo travel. And so I was used to that. And I didn't realize how much I needed that until I was with someone and that went away. And then I was wondering why things felt a little off. And that was why, because I need that alone time. And that's why exercise really helps. I like to go on long walks by myself with my music or podcast and just explore a place by myself. That's something I need to incorporate to have with time without him. And that's also beneficial because I can find cool places that we can go back to together, but it's that hour or two every day that I can have by myself that I think is crucial.
And I do the same with the running. Like
Jim will go for his runs, and I think that's
turn around a couple times a week.
Yeah,
just get out and do my own thing.
But I think right now our trip to Vietnam we'll be working in separate spaces, and I think that's gonna help a lot. Just to kind of have our own space and relax and
get back together and to talk about new things.
Exactly.
Oh, it's more just what you do, just Excel sheets, some music.
So what words of advice would you have? I guess you started talking about that a little bit, but for people who are just starting out with this lifestyle,
couples starting with this lifestyle, so they don't hit some of the bumps you've hit, and just to keep everything.
Sure.
Yeah.
The right person.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. My mom always says, my mom from the beginning was like, well, if you can travel with him, I mean, you two must be really compatible. She's like, I would kill your dad if I spent more than 2 weeks with him alone. And I'm like, well, I don't know necessarily that means that they're not compatible. I just think it's that our personalities are compatible enough that we can spend a lot of time together without getting annoyed with each other. I think that's one thing. I think traveling can tell you a lot about yourselves and each other. And I think we came into this relationship, we were 28, 29. Yeah, 28. So we had already been in other serious relationships. I think we met each other at the right stage in our life. And I think it's really hard. Like, it depends on so many different factors.
And neither one of us was looking for a relationship, really.
No.
We just kind of met, and we're like, oh, she's cool.
Yeah, and we just got along so well, and it was like...
We started more as friends, and then...
It was a friendship. So I think that traveling with another person can tell you a lot about each other and your relationship and how compatible you are. But I don't know. Like, I also have traveled with really close friends before, and it hasn't worked. And that doesn't mean I don't love them and that they're not really good friends. It just means that we can't do this kind of this kind of stressful traveling together. So I think it can tell you a lot about your relationship, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're not, compatible or not.
Yeah.
You just have to find your own little routines, and you have to give each other space. And I think one of the biggest things that we've done that helps is we're renting Airbnbs now instead of hotels. And we always get 2-bedroom Airbnbs so that one of us can have like an office kind of, we can have more space.
Although we're not using office.
No, but
Both
we
of
have
the same
space.
table right now.
We have space.
You see our
Is the
workspace
thing.
is just right there.
We have space. So I think that when we were staying in really tiny places like studios and things, that we got on each other's hair a lot more. We didn't have as much space to put our things, and you feel a little bit more disorganized and disoriented when you're in that situation. And so for us to slow down a little bit has been one thing. Instead of moving every 2 weeks, committing to staying a month or 2 months or 3 months at a time, that really helps to keep things less stressful.
Because we did 2 months in Merida, and it was just like so relaxing, and we got so much work done.
Yeah.
But everywhere we stayed like more than a month, you really start getting your routines for work. And
in China, we just had to go to China for work, and that was really stressful for me because we moved around we were moving around a lot.
Yeah, we spent like 3 weeks in Guangzhou, but I was like in and out of like trade shows and whatnot, and just came like really stressful. And then
by the end of that month, I didn't have as much patience. I wasn't, and I think that sort of thing, if you burn yourself out, then you're more likely to fight. So you need to take care of yourself. And like I said before, take care of your health, your sleep, prioritize sleep, because that's huge in making sure that you feel mentally okay, and sleep is one of the biggest things affected by travel. So I think you need to prioritize your sleep and make sure you take care of yourself. Having to eat out all the time can get really, hard as well. So I don't know, doing those little things to prioritize your health can be the first thing you forget about when you're traveling. And so don't push those things aside because they're important for mental health. So exercise, sleep, all those things I think really help keep us sane and keep us
those require a routine.
They do. So you have to find a little bit of a routine, even when your life is not at all following a routine.
Some of the couples we spoke to have like these little tricks for the relationship, like date night or personal space, or like writing a list of things to do for each other, like every single day. Do you guys have some like your own little trick for keeping
like formalized day nights? It's like, hey, do you want to go out tonight? It's like, yeah, sure.
No, but I will say that what we will do probably once a month or once every other month, we will plan like a side trip weekend that we don't work and that we go stay somewhere kind of nice, and that we don't, that's kind of like a getaway within a vacation within a vacation. And it's a lot of it is a lot of like quality time together, just relaxing, and it can make you feel more normal, I think, to have that, where it's just supposed to be relaxing and peaceful and like a getaway together. But we don't do like date night. I've thought about that before, that we should implement something like that because we eat out so often, it's like, how do you make a date night? That would be something we'll add when we're back in normal land, when we have a house and stuff. But no, that would probably be one of the things we do. We plan might be like a 2 or 3 night excursion somewhere where we stay in a nice hotel, and we have we sleep in and we don't work, and we just lay around in a hammock and read books and lay by a pool or do something that's different than what we normally do. That's more on the relaxing side.
Treat yourself.
Treat yourself. Yeah, and that's probably about once every month and once every other month or so, we might do something like that.
It's easy to do in Vietnam because everything's so cheap. So we'll go somewhere nice.
We'll go and get couples massages, and we'll try to do little things like that to that's something special together. But no, we don't have that yet. Maybe we're too new with that. We have those little routines.
Yeah.
Well, having dated for so long and being married, it's really the same thing.
Yeah.
That's how we feel about it.
Yeah. That's kind of so far what it feels like.
Well, Lindsay and Jim, thank you so much for being on here today. It was just fun learning how you guys do it and what people can get from your own experiences. Do you guys have some social media accounts people can find you at if they want to ask you more questions?
We could have Wi-Fi, we'll travel.
Yeah, we have a blog that we sometimes update called Have Wi-Fi Will Travel.
You gotta get better at that.
But yeah, we've been pretty busy with our other jobs that we don't, probably update it as much as we can. Periodically, we'll update that. So it's havewifiwilltravel.com. And I still update my Instagram account, which is my old blog, Lindsay Leaps. I still update that.
Yeah, I'm on Instagram as @JimKennemer, but
Yeah.
I don't really update as much as I should.
He doesn't use Instagram really.
I just do random stories of food.
Yeah, he does a lot of food stories, so that's about it.
Yeah.
So if anybody watching has more questions, put them below. We'll get it to them, and hopefully we'll get them back on here if everybody's really knows about their life.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And thanks again.
Yeah, thank you.
Hopefully we'll see you soon. Bye.
Yeah. It was really nice to meet you.
Yes, thanks so
Bye.
much. Loved it.